Hey Capricorn, how's it going? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. We're first starting off with the Lovers and the High Priestess. You can be talking to somebody about how you're feeling. This looks like somebody that you're close with. Getting close with. Some talk about the future can be coming up too. This can be sort of like expectations, just stuff about maybe the direction of things. It feels like there's going to be a lot of sharing that will be happening. I'm seeing Nine of Wands and I'm seeing Queen of Swords. There can be something, not something that's happening now, but something that's associated with the future that you can be like sweating a little bit about. I want to see further to... Look at this. All right. Can we get a clarifier on the Nine of Wands? Okay. So, Nine of Wands is looking like something that's coming up that you may have to, I'm hearing throw a wrench. Okay. This can be something that's just like, okay, I gotta figure this out, whatever it is that's going on here. I'm seeing it be clarified though by the Hermit, which can mean that when this pops up, taking time to sort of take a step back and be like, let me reflect on this, let me think about that. That's what's being suggested here, because it feels like it may initially, there can be a feeling or a sense of conflict that's involved in this, and rather than making matters like more intense by being like, okay, let me think about this. It feels like that's going to be most helpful. It's connected with what you want. I even get something that you may want to recreate presently in a way. But you can also too feel like certain ways that you've seen yourself are also changing too. Like, I feel like there may be an aspect of your identity that you're actually going to be surrendering, but only because you would feel like this is something that you're growing out of at this point, or something that's evolving at this point. So it would feel like it can still be difficult because there's surrender involved in it, but you can be like, I'm gonna like hang my hat up type of thing, but only because you're going to be shifting into like the next energy that you're going to be shifting into. I do feel like identity is involved in this, so it can be like normally like I play this title, or these are the things that I do, and now like something about that is going to be shifting. It feels too like sort of just being as objective as possible when you are looking at it. Because I'm seeing Queen of Swords, and Nine of Wands and Queen of Swords is like, rather than looking at this through an emotional lens, to look at this through more of an intellectual lens and be like, let me really process this and think about this in that type of way, you know, a mercurial type of way. It looks like there's stuff going on with you and another person, like a relationship type thing, and it looks too like at the same time you may be like figuring out sort of the intention with you and this person, and there can also be like an intention to manifest certain things. And I'm also seeing too wanting things to be harmonious and balanced emotionally, and that also being really important here within this. Like, I'm seeing it be trying to figure out where that sort of line is with you and this person, so that things can work properly, so things can function properly, and also so everybody feels like their needs are being met. And this feels like a big part of this is talking, because we have Gemini, and I'm also looking at Libra here, and this like communication, Having Mercury, more communication. Mercury and Libra, talking about values, about expectations, like this is what an ideal relationship looks like to me, or like partnership, whatever this is that you have going on with this person. This is sort of where I am expecting or intending things to go, like the direction of things. And then also having the moon in the mix, this is like communicating feelings, like what's going on and how I'm experiencing this, and being very, very transparent when it comes to one's emotions. Especially, it's also about being true to yourself too, where it's like, okay, I vibe with that, or that doesn't resonate with me, you know, like being clear about those things. So not just what am I feeling right now in this moment and how do I feel about you, it's also like, how do I feel about the things that are going down now, how do I feel about the relationship, it's like those types of things too. It's not like purely just, it's not solely your emotions towards this person, it's also about like sort of what you're creating with them too, that also being part of it as well. So it can feel like you're staying true to yourself as you move through this process. But stuff about communicating, there may be something that's just difficult about that for some reason. But you can feel maybe something's difficult because you need to think about it. So you're not ready to talk about certain things. It can be something like that. Ooh. Okay. I'm seeing something here. All right. This is looking a little bit like something going into maybe a territory that you don't necessarily want it to. But I don't feel like this is, instead of you already being like in the tar pit, I'm seeing this be like caution. Things could potentially go in a direction that wouldn't be great for them to go into. And there can also be a part of you that maybe Nine of Wands and Queen of Swords, the reason why this would be a challenge coming up is if you're in a space where you're not thinking logically, where you're not keeping your head on straight within this, and other things are overpowering that, and that perspective is not being integrated, things can really go sideways here with you and this person. Nine of Wands and the Devil is like, how do you keep like interdependence with this person rather than codependence with them? Like interdependence is seen as like a more ideal aspect to play out within a relationship, where it's like you guys can trust each other and be reliable for one another and things like that. That feels like, wow, this is supportive, rather than things becoming codependent where it's like, I can't function without you, but like I need you to be here all the time. There's more to it than that, but it can feel sort of like the relationship starts to be utilized as a form of like escapism, you know, or the dynamic can be utilized in a way where it's like avoiding addressing other things, you know, by bypassing through your relationship with this person. You can also feel like things take an unhealthy turn as well. Seeing Nine of Wands and seeing the Devil feels like it will be a challenge not to go in that direction with them, but at the same time, if you are keeping like yourself level headed, it doesn't have to go in that direction. So I'm seeing this be your guides being like, there's absolutely a choice that you have here. And like the Devil is not the only direction that things can go in. Like it doesn't have to get out of hand. It doesn't have to be intense in like a toxic sort of way, you know. It's something where you can see, oh, okay, I'm feeling that things are starting to be like that, like let me do what I need to do to balance that in the other direction, you know, to like anchor that. Because maybe too, like something goes on and you start feeling like a little bit obsessive, but not in like a fun way. This is in a way where it's like not thinking straight because of it, and then feeling like you're losing yourself to something, and that you're not behaving in a way that you normally would when you're grounded and seeing things clearly. I feel like this is also about being realistic, you know, for what something is. The devil is also too, when the devil comes out, it's like a reminder to keep things in balance. In balance. So rather than going like too far into the extremes, it's like, how do we bring this back into the center if you start feeling like that's going on? It can also too just indicate things being really intense between you and this person. Ooh, I'm seeing Neptune. All right. You can have a Neptune contact in your synastry with this person. I wonder if Saturn's involved in this too. This can also be the Neptune transit that's happening as well, the retrograde. I feel like the most difficult thing here to do is to detach yourself enough, or to like extricate yourself enough that you're seeing things clearly, because there may be some stuff going on that there's like a bit of haziness around it, and it can be really difficult to see things clearly because of this. I do feel the sense of something going on here. I want to say this. There may be something that's going to be happening in the future, and you could possibly, I have to turn that off. You could possibly know about this now if you really looked into it, but because of the way that you're seeing things currently, it can be something where you're overlooking it right now. So I'm not seeing something like go down right now. I'm seeing something that could potentially be happening in the future. And also, I don't see it having to be like this. This feels like if you are genuinely communicating with this person, being clear about your intentions, being very, very like level-headed when it comes to your emotions. So it's like, rather than in a heightened state being like, this is how I'm feeling, and like all of this stuff, making sure that you're grounded when you're communicating things emotionally with this person, I feel like you can avoid things going in a direction that you would not want them to go into with you and this person. But Nine of Wands and the Hanged Man is indicating that the challenge here is for you to make sure that you're seeing everything rather than just the things that you want to see. Because you may have a tendency when you get involved with people, or this can be specific to this person, if you have a Neptune contact in your synastry with them, that when we have Neptune contact, especially a harsh contact with somebody in our synastry with them, we can be like we can get like very obsessive over the person, or like think that they're like the most ideal and the best thing in the whole world. Meanwhile, there are like a bunch of other flags that are sort of showing up, and you just like conveniently happen to sweep them under the rug, but like can be in a very like unconscious way that you do that. And then when that illusion gets wiped away, which maybe this will happen by the time that Neptune stations direct, in that moment you'll be like, wait, this, and this happened, and I totally overlooked that. And then it's like the whole fantasy is like broken at that point. But it's only because of when certain things that you're like, a little bit of a red flag there, or just something that would have been like a warning. Not to say that this is like a bad relationship or anything like that, but it's like when certain things happen where somebody's showing you who they are, and you're like, I'd rather not see them in that light. It's very easy when Neptune is involved to actually like delude yourself into like forgetting that you ever saw that red flag in the first place, you know, or anything that wasn't like a green flag. So Neptune can kind of make it feel like it's a fantasy and like a fairy tale, but that it's really happening. But only if you're in that space. If you're looking at this and being like, I want truth above all, and to really see this person and our relationship for what it is, you won't be fooled by this. But the way that a Neptune contact works is that if you have like fantasies that you're projecting onto the relationship and sort of wanting to believe that over other things that you're seeing, there will be like basically a dissonance that's created. But then when something happens with Neptune, like it wears off or Neptune goes direct, it can be that moment where it's like, oh, there was so much stuff that happened that I was just ignoring. It's like a moment where you see everything and like in hindsight, you're like, oh, that moment told me in this one and I ignored that over there. It'll be like that type of thing that will happen. So I'm seeing you definitely be in some type of Neptunian process with this person. The thing is that once the thing happens with Neptune where it like loses its sort of like mirage powers over your relationship, you're in that moment where it's like, okay, it wasn't exactly what I thought it was, and you see the reflection of what it actually is, and in that moment you can be like, okay, I'm cool with what it actually is and I want to stay here. Or it can be a moment where it's like, this is nothing like I thought, and I made like it can feel like you made a huge mistake. I'm not saying anything's a mistake, but it can be one of those moments where it was like, I was like so mistaken in my perception of things, like that type of thing that can happen here. And also too, like add in the devil, which can be like, you know, things happening very quickly. It can be things being very, very intense with you and another person and not mitigating that energy. So it can just be like everything coming together in like a very obsessive way, very extreme way. And then when the thing happens with Neptune, where like the haziness goes away and you're left like staring at the truth of what something is, and it's not that pink cloud anymore, it can be a moment that's very stark in contrast to what you like initially were perceiving. But Nine of Wands and Queen of Swords is like, even though it can be difficult to do this, if you can be in the energy of the Queen of Swords, which is you using your discernment, it's you paying attention, you looking at what's actually in front of you rather than the fantasy you want to project, you're gonna know the truth. So you will not be shocked when like the vibe of Neptune, the essence of Neptune rubs off, you know? You'll be like, okay, I was aware of what was going on, you know, because of staying in a space of truth with yourself. So really important here to truthful, honest communication with you and this person, direct, emotional stuff too. So this means if something isn't sitting right with you emotionally, or you're like, that's not part of my values, you communicate that with this person. Also too, maybe you feel them having certain expectations and you're like, I don't want them to expect that from me. Communicate that. Just communicate. It looks like just if you can really stand on communicating with this person what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and be in a place where it's actually true to that. Because justice is like the scales, it's the balance, it's going to be also too your heart and your mind. So this isn't like, I only talk to them from an emotional standpoint, but these other things are going on, but I just like leave that part out. It's like, don't do that. You want to make sure that like mentally you're communicating what's going on, emotionally you're communicating what's going on, and also that you're being very honest with this person about your values too. Because maybe there's some stuff coming up. I mean, I'm not seeing anything be like you guys are incompatible or anything like that, but what I'm seeing is that if this stuff isn't taken care of, things can potentially end in a really harsh way with you and this person if this stuff isn't happening. So it's like, don't sweep that thing under the rug, bring it up. Like if you are really being yourself, and it can be difficult, you know, when you're in some type of situation with someone, it's like, I want them to see the best of me and I don't want them to see this side of me necessarily, or like, what if they don't like that? And then you start feeling like you're wearing a mask in the relationship, and maybe also to this other person, and then it's like when those masks come off, and it can be like a very innocent thing too, but like in that moment where the masks come off, it's like, oh, you look like so different, you know, than you were sort of projecting yourself into the relationship as. But if you're in a place where you're really being like, the thing that will make sure that this doesn't happen is you being absolutely honest. That is the way to move through this. So it's like not hiding those parts of yourself. And also too, knowing that like part of your journey of self-love is also being yourself, you know, being true to yourself, being authentic, regardless of who else is in the room with you. And if you do that, the dissonance will not be created with you and this person. But Neptune is a very, very strong energy. When Neptune is around too, we can have a tendency to like fabricate, you know, or to leave things out. Neptune can be an energy where we are like, let me just show you like these things over here, but like don't look at this and like cover it up, you know. And again, like it can be in a very innocent way, but it's something that it starts building and like something else starts coming to life, and in the moment where that thing dies, you're just left with what's there, and it can be very different than what had been sort of, you know, manifesting. So it seems like this is all about that. But if you can see those moments where stuff is not aligned with your truth, and see in that and be like, okay, I'm tapping into that part of myself that's connected here, this won't hold that sort of power over you. Because what I'm seeing is, it looks like when this energy is unchecked, you can feel super obsessive in the dynamic with this person. And it can also feel like there's absolutely nothing wrong. But if you're really checking in, there can be moments, as there are in like pretty much every relationship, right? Where it's like, oh, like that hurt my feelings, or oh, I didn't like that, or oh, like they're looking at me expecting that, and I need to say like that I don't want to do that for them, you know? Things like that, where if you are really in that space and really being honest in that space, this thing of potentially where this could go downhill, it won't happen then. There can still be a moment where it's like, okay, this is like a little bit different than maybe I thought, but if you are being in a space of honesty with yourself, which means too sometimes taking a little bit of a step back from only seeing things through an emotional lens, you're going to, if you're kind of putting on the goggles to see this in a cognitive framework, you'll be able to see what's going on, and where it's like, oh, because of having those issues within myself, I'm like really expecting from this person to sort of be that band-aid for me, you know, which again can happen within our relationships, but this can be something where it becomes sort of an extreme thing that maybe we're not taking care of, and then being like, hey, can you do that for me? And then we feel disempowered by that because we're giving the power to something outside of ourselves, and it can be something that feels kind of like a fix, but almost, but not really. And then we can feel like we're seeking more and more and deeper until the point where it just becomes like this rabid hunt that we're on with the other person. Having the devil involved in Neptune. So just to say again, because I know this can be like a difficult thing to hear when we're involved with someone, if this is a challenge for you with your discernment and with your objectivity, as objective as one can be in a situation like this, there will be a part of you that is the Queen of Swords that when certain things happen, it'll say, hey, I'm talking to you, I'm noticing something happening here. And there can be another part of you that's like, just be quiet, I don't want to hear it right now. If you do not do that, if you listen to that part of yourself when it comes up and it's like, hey, I'm noticing this thing going on here, you're not going to have a problem. But when that part of you comes up, and it may be a part of you that you don't want to listen to at times because it's telling you the opposite thing of the fantasy you want to believe, if you will give voice to that, you are not going to be shocked and horrified when the energy of Neptune washes away. You will be like, okay, I saw those things happening, and this isn't like a far reach from what I was perceiving, you know? But it's really, really important to the process of doing this. And also too, I'm seeing that if this energy goes unchecked, not now, but a while down the line, I'm seeing things could potentially end in like a really challenging way with you and this person, but it does not have to happen. That does not have to go on like that. But if there's some stuff going on that you feel like need to be checked, now would really be the time to do it, and continue to do it. The energy of Neptune, like the like elusive energy of Neptune and the forecast of it, it will not last the whole relationship. So eventually it does rub off. So just know that there is like an ending to when this will be happening, where you'll be like, okay, I feel like I have a really clear picture of what's going on here. I feel like Neptune in relationships, usually, this is just me putting this out there. It doesn't have to be specifically on this timeline, but I feel like three to 4 months in, it starts like rubbing off a bit. So you'll start noticing things, or you may start feeling annoyed with certain things. It can be like that type of thing. But maybe Neptune stationing direct can be when the time frame of this would be. That's what's coming to mind anyway. This energy can be checked. Things don't have to end at all, even with this person, or end badly or anything like that. Doesn't have to be like that. It feels too like this is a focus on something going on with Mercury and Moon, something that may be playing out within your chart, and it can also potentially be happening in your synastry with this person. You can look at this and be like, oh, why am I being tested in the relationship like that? And maybe even want to like recede a bit. But this is more so about like working with your own energies, because they're going to be there whether you're in a relationship or not. And this is like a perfect opportunity to be like working through this stuff for yourself. You know, it's like the perfect sort of playground to be playing this energy out and then gaining mastery over it. And you also get to like have the company of somebody else while you're doing it, you know? All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.